Hi, Ron Craig here again, sharing with you one more unique, handy, and helpful household hint. Now this is a bedroom, and it is also my study, and I'll show you a few items in here. My desk, which I also built, and I'll tell you more about that later. How you like my little eagles I put on the front of it. And then here's another bookcase that I built. I built 3 of them. And then here is my desk with my equipment on it, and a file cabinet, and back to the bookcase. This is not a real large room, and I needed 3 bookcases, but the wall space is limited. So I had to figure out and design these bookcases to fit. And I started with this one. You might recognize some of my videos from other channels, Where is God and Bible Realities, and sometimes I'll sit in front of this bookcase as my background to do those videos. You may remember that. Well, I needed a bookcase to hold my books, and I needed the shelving to be certain space, all of them spaced alike. There are 6 shelves, and I'll tell you a little bit about my design. These videos, it'll take 3 videos to share all of it. First the design, and then the preparation, and then the assembly. So I needed at least 2 feet wide, and I had that space, and you can see here I had to space it between that door facing and that lighting fixture, and leave a little space for that door to open up so it wouldn't be tight. So this is the space that I had, and I looked at Lowe's and I found some wood that'll do it. This is real tree wood, and these are 1 by 12s. They call it that, but they're actually about 11.5 inches. The shelves are the same width, and they're 2 feet long. So I had it first planned to make these even, and if I had done that, the shelf would have been about 1.5 inches more narrow. I needed that extra space, so I decided to put the backing on and nail this in to the backing on each side, and that way they wouldn't be as deep inside. But also that made, since these boards were the same width as these, it made them stick out 3/4 of an inch. And I thought about that, and I decided to build it because I said, hey, I like that. That's what makes this bookcase a little bit unique, because of the way these shelves are sticking out about 3/4 of an inch on each side. I think that looks good. I like that. So I didn't want it to sit flat on the floor, so I found 3 inches by 6 feet. They're actually about 2.5 inches, and I cut those 2 feet long. 3 bookcases now to raise that up off the floor. So the first shelf is about 3 inches off the floor. Well, these boards on the side are the same length. They're 6 feet. This backboard is the same length, 6 feet. So I had to shift that board up in relation to these whenever I put them together, and I'll tell you more about that later. Now, I didn't want different boards on the back. I wanted a solid board, and so I found at Lowe's boards where they made them. They take small pieces and put them together. They glue them together. You can see where that's sticking up on the top. And actually this one cracked. It's 2 feet by 6 feet, and there are pieces glued together. But I have nails in the back of the shelving, and so that holds that in place. I didn't want to go the route of plywood. I didn't have room. I don't have the vehicle to haul it, and so I went this route. And also the 2 feet wide back piece was exactly what I needed, this exact length and the exact width, so I didn't have to cut. And that's one thing about this design, is the only thing I had to cut are these shelves. I got 6-foot boards like on the side, and I cut 3 of them out, made 3, 6 feet, made 3. So I had 2 boards that I cut shelves out of and put those together. So there's not a lot of cutting. This is the only cutting I had to do. Well, I decided to put it together with these finishing nails, about 2.5 inches long, and I did decide the finishing nails can hardly be seen unless you get in the light just right. I got a lot of nails at each shelf and across the back, but I did decide to put one of these screws on the outer edge of each shelf, as you see, on both sides. So I'll tell you in another video how I prepared all this wood, the cutting and the sanding and the staining and polyurethaning and so forth. And then I'll show you another video about the assembly, how I put it together. But anyway, this is a unique bookcase. It just fits. Now, if you want to build yours, it'll have to be custom, because you'll probably have a different amount of space. You might have a more narrow space or more wide space. You'll have to decide what you want to use to build it with. But here is this bookcase. The other 2 I built are exactly alike, except the 2 top shelves on those 2 are a little bit taller for taller books. And I'll show you that I have some in this one. These shelves are a little bit taller, these 2 top shelves. The rest of them are a little bit more narrow than the one on the first bookcase, but they're still tall enough for all these books, most of my books. And so these are custom-made bookshelves that I made myself. I'm not a professional. Didn't have to have a lot of great tools and not a lot of workspace. I just did it out on the back patio and put it together. They're not real heavy. I brought them in here and put them in place, and I attached them to the wall. I'll tell you about that later as well, so that there will be no danger of anybody pulling them over, them falling over and hurting anybody. So this is one more what I consider unique, handy and helpful household hint about making your own bookcases. And I used pine boards. There's more expensive pine boards with no knot holes or no knots in them, and they're rougher boards, and I got the ones in the middle. They're still expensive, but I think it gives them a good look when you see these designs on the edge. The knot holes, they're not holes actually, but where knots were, and I think that makes it look rustic, and I think it makes it look better. And you can see this bookshelf has those shelves sticking out about 3/4 of an inch like the others. All 3 of them are made about alike, except the 2 top shelves on 2 of them are a little taller for taller books. But this is the one that I use especially to hold my books. They're all about the same size, 6 inches by 9 inches. I believe you'll appreciate this. One more handy and helpful household hint. You have a good day now.